good afternoon there, good morning, whatever it is. It is Friday. Oh, what is it? It is the 3rd of October, 2025. Glad to have you all checking in here. Let me kind of catch up in here. All right, yeah. So, man, oh man, today is Friday. It's the first Friday of the month. Usually we have the NFP, but because of the government shutdown, as I've been mentioning online, and of course in the academy with everybody, that um, you know, it is what it is. We don't have it. It's been rescheduled according to their site for next Friday. So we'll see how that goes. No data coming in like that probably means, it adds to the idea that we could see another cut here with the Fed this week. And let me just take a moment here. I see some people who are mentioning here, some people from the academy. We had a longtime member, Data. He's been with us for years. He's really, really a great guy. Really kind to everybody. Had some health issues here, especially the last year. And he used the ability to come into TWC and talk trading with everybody as a way for him to kind of escape that when he could. And unfortunately, he's passed. So it's quite sad for us over at TWC. Just kind of a reminder to take life and do with it the things that you need to do with it. Don't goof around. Don't think that there's always a tomorrow. We're not guaranteed good health. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. So make sure that you spend that time, with the people that you love along the way. And I know, trading's a lot of fun, and we love making money, right? But at the end of the day, don't let that be all that your life is about. So yeah, sad day. But I know he was touched a lot of people in a good way over there at TWC. So I did kind of want to mention that. Anyway, heavy kind of way to start the day here, and the podcast or the show here. But again, needed to be said because a lot of people did know him and are going to miss him. So Bamboo says, as I knew him, he would have said that we should not mourn, but focus on the charts. Great human being it was. Yeah, I agree. So let's kind of talk about markets then. This is 3 days into October, or as we usually say, Uptober, right? Because historically, October is a really good month, not just for crypto, but also for stocks. And so we actually had a decent September. September was not this huge red September that it normally is. As we come in here, Fibbo's mentioning 123 was hit on Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin continued pushing up there to the top of the range, almost to the all-time high. It's been hitting our targets as it continues going up. We've given floors over the academy, that as long as it stays above this level, here's the next target. It hits the next target. We've got that floor where we need it to be. So we've been able to follow with that up as well. And I know Fibbo had his targets knock it off over there at the Trading Academy as well. So lots of good times. Ethereum as well coming up. We've got it rallying up, and I'll have that chart there as well. We'll talk about Bitcoin dominance a bit and some other charts. But at the end of the day, government shutdown right now. One of the prediction markets has it up to 12.9 days that they say it's going to be shut down. So, that's going in about 2 weeks into the month here. So we'll see how that plays out with that. But again, as it is, in there, the reason why we didn't get the jobs info today is because it's not, it's not a essential service. And so, yeah, because of that, you need that funding to come back to the markets here, or not to the markets, but to the government. So that way they can get that information out. But again, as as Fibbo and I are very adamant about, we don't trade all that numbers stuff, all that delayed information anyway, right? Bamboo over here saying exactly what I've been thinking. Government shutdown, but they'll still take your taxes. Oh man, you aren't kidding there, right? Why can't we get if the government, see, there's the thing, man. There should be something that says, hey, listen, if the government shuts down, you ain't paying taxes during that period either. That'd be great. That'd be perfect, but it isn't. So it is what it is. I've been trading a little bit this morning with our, micro minis that I trade a few times a week, three times a week with our students. And then I, tend to trade it also on the days I'm not trading with them as I'm trying to get other stuff done. And man, I've had to, I haven't been able to let it run like I want to, but I've been able to lock in profits of $707.90 so far today. So that's pretty good. When will the Bitcoin giveaway start? Bernardo, you're going to get me in trouble trying to say stuff like that. So as soon as you send me the Bitcoin, I will give it away. We'll do that. Nobody believe what Bernardo's saying. I'm not giving y'all a Bitcoin. Why would I do that? Why would I give away $123,000? That makes no sense, right? But I'll tell you what, though, if Bernardo sends it to me, I'll give it away. I will give it away. So y'all go ahead and get on Bernardo, jump on him a bit, make him live up to his promise there, and then I can send it. What's up, Fibbo? Fibbo says you got 34-point profit on SPY today. Nice, man. Nice. Good job there. Hitting that targets. Yeah. So anyway, hey, listen real quick before we jump in here. As always, you can join us at members.texaswestcapital.com. Join the Liquidity Cartography group there. That'll get you in. You'll get everything we do. You get what our head traders do. You get what Fibbo does, and you get it all in there. And so, if you're tired of just screwing around, guys, seriously, are you tired of screwing around? Because a lot of y'all get on, you say, oh, I want to be a trader. I want to do all this. And then you're like, oh, but where's all the free information? You got to get real, guys. You might be able to learn it with the free information, but even if you do, it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer. Okay? So get in here, use it as an investment, join us. We'd love to have you in there. And not only do you get to learn all this, and I would argue, honestly, that you're going to get a better understanding of markets for myself and Fibbo than you are anywhere else, because we don't follow all that old nonsense, right? We understand where price is coming from. We understand where, how it's being, some people want to use the word manipulated, but really trading is simple. It's just not easy, right? It's simple to understand. Price is really just moving between areas of pockets of liquidity, but you have to fight yourself constantly. That's what makes it so difficult. So you're not in there in a fight against Wall Street. You're not in a fight against crypto whales. You're not in a fight against me or Fibbo or anybody else. The only person you're in a fight for in the market is yourself. That's the only person you're fighting against. And the sooner you figure that out, the sooner you can get yourself on the way to actually doing better. Okay? See, like Andrew Bennett, he's one of our head traders over there. Dude came in. He followed me for a while here, quite a while online on the shows. Finally jumped in with us. Less than a year had it figured out. Now, I'm not going to say, he's always going to get it right. No, none of us get it 100% right all the time, right? But my man knows what he's doing. He's gotten in here. He's doing it. And it was because he joined in and he put the focus down and did it. And that's what I'm going to say, guys. It's the only thing keeping you from being successful in trading is understanding how it's done, but more so getting in there, understanding proper risk management, understanding how to deal with your own emotions. That's really the big issue. Yeah, I like Mr. Green here. It says TWC for life. Come join you. Going to be better at trading. I love it. I love it. Bamboo telling us, yeah, trading is simple, but discipline, consistent commitment to learning is not simple. Absolutely, absolutely correct. There's those things I say. Everybody thinks, oh, they can just kind of buy a course or join a training and then not actually put forth any effort. And it's like anything else in life. You're not going to get any better for it, better at it if you don't put in that effort, right? You need dedication, consistency, effort, focus. I did say consistency. You got to practice the right things over and over again. You have to do this, folks. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you should choose to learn how to trade on a Saturday night versus going out drinking with your buddies. That is a personal decision on you. Whatever you want to decide is what you need to do. But you need to also understand that if you're serious about learning a thing, you have to be serious about learning. You have to put in the time, effort, commitment, dedication, focus, consistency that's required to learn it. And so if you tell me, hey, listen, I want to be a trader. I want to learn how to do this so I can be in the small percentage that's actually successful consistently over time. I want to do that. Whether you want to end up doing that as all you want to do, or you just want to do it on the side as something to make extra money because you do actually enjoy your job. If you're going to tell me that, then you're going to have to make that decision that, oh, maybe, I have this little bit of free time on a Saturday night. Maybe instead of going out with my buddies drinking, I should actually study. I should actually learn. It's just not going to come to you any other way, guys. And don't believe somebody out there that tells you you're going to learn to trade in 5 minutes and their one secret way of trading is all that it takes. And, it's all nonsense, guys. Why do they say that? Because that's what you want to hear. That's what you're going to put your money in, and then you're going to be all upset. So anyway, join us, members.texaswestcapital.com. We'd love to have you there and show you how to really trade, show you how liquidity flows and how to understand it and various ways of looking at it and how it all ties together. That's what it's about. So that way you can learn to trade whatever way you want to trade, because you're going to have that basis in actually what's going on in the market. That's the thing that we do better than anybody else. Every day of the week, all right? Let me jump over here. Let's pull up the charts here. Boom, there we go. There's Bitcoin. Bitcoin, man, making that run. It's trying to do it. We are now up. Look at that. Up 13.5%, $14,646 or so from this basically a week ago, Thursday of last week, swing low down there, Friday last week, swing low. Look at that move. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. So at this point, what I'm looking for, excuse me, I'm looking at this as likely a 1 and a 2 here. So wave 3, minimum expected target 126.707, secondary target about 131. So at this point, that's what I'm looking at. If we can get a breakout above this all-time high here on this chart at $124,092.50, then those are kind of the target areas I'm looking at right off this right now. So it's absolutely done, beautiful. Continues to run way up here. And by the way, these things right here are pivots. Excuse me. These lines right here are pivots. You see R4, R3, R2, whatever, right? Here's the main pivot right here. This aggressive move up into the R2 pivot from the main pivot itself, especially coming up from almost the S1 pivot area, that aggressive movement usually indicates that price is going to rally more times than not. It's going to rally all the way up through the R5 pivot. Now, that doesn't mean it just goes straight up here. You'll get up and down along the way, but these are the monthly pivots. So when I'm looking at this and this aggressive movement, there's a good chance we can see this hit at least 135.5 or 141.2 here by the end of the month. It's just something that generally tends to happen a lot of times with pivots when you're getting this aggressive movement like this. So I would not be surprised to see it hitting up there by the end of the month, which would throw some people off a lot, right? I mean, come on. People are still out there crying about the top being in. As of yesterday, I saw people talk about the top being in. Guys, we are how far here? 123.380 so far this morning. Basically $700 away from that all-time high. Come on. Excuse me. But, that's the difference between, again, people have been doing this a while and others that just got started. But, I can't say it enough, guys. There is no guarantee when it comes to trading, all right? The only guarantee that I would say that there is in trading is that you're going to lose money from time to time. Absolutely will lose money. You will never not lose money as a trader. And the newer you are, the more money you're going to lose and the more often you're going to lose it. That's really the only guarantees in trading. Everything else is not a guarantee. You cannot guarantee that when you get into a trade, that price is going to go where you think it's going to go, or even that it's going to go in the direction you think it's going to go. It may, but there's absolutely no guarantee. What do you have control over? You have control over your risk management. You have control over where do you exit. And a lot of people don't get this. I always tell you guys, The most important part of trading, right, outside of risk management, is your exit. It's not your entry. Everybody's so focused on getting what they want, the perfect entry. Become a master of the exit. That's your take profit, that's your stop loss, right? Because here's the truth, okay? A bad entry, let's say it this way. A good entry, but a bad exit is going to lose you money or at least significantly lessen your profit, right? But if you have a bad entry, a good exit can mitigate that, maybe even allow you to make some money even with a bad entry. You see what I'm saying? So stop putting all your focus just on the entry. Well, that's what most retail traders do, right? They get out here, they're not learning proper risk management. All they're focusing on is, where do I get in? And most of the time, where do I get in is the breakout, right? But how many times have you gotten into a breakout and it's pulled back against you and then either hit your stop loss or liquidated you or scared you into just exiting in a loss, and then it's turned around and continued on, right? When you're trading, don't think in absolutes, which again is something difficult for new traders to do, right? Because when we first come into trading, we're looking for perfection. We're looking for guarantees. But that stuff is going to lose you money, okay? What you want to do is you want to understand more along the lines of probabilities. And guys, just because the last 3 times it did this, so this 4th time it needs to do something else, that's a bunch of nonsense. That's not how probabilities work. Probabilities are reset every time a thing happens, right? That's how it works. It's not like, oh, we've done this 5 times in a row, so now it's got to do something different. No, stop the nonsense. You're going to lose yourself money. So if you're new to trading or if you haven't been consistently profitable yet, okay, the one thing you absolutely need to do is understand what proper risk management is and then apply it day in and day out. Most of the time we don't do that because risk management's boring, because it means we make less money than in our head what we would make. Those reasons, right? You need to understand and use proper risk management absolutely every time, okay? Next most important thing is understanding where price may reverse or where it may pull back from. So you're looking, again, your exits. That's it. After you get those 2 things, you start getting them really well, then start looking at your entries. And if you do those 3 things like that, you've got a lot more opportunity, a lot more potential to actually be a long-term successful trader than not doing them. Absolutely. It puts you heads and shoulders above what everybody else you see basically online is doing. All right. So man, oh man, here we go. God, we're just up there. Look at that. We keep pushing up higher. 123,514. It looks like we may get an all-time high here during the show, guys. Man, this is pretty awesome, right? So yeah, so like I said, if we can break out above this all-time high here, initially I'd be looking around 126,707. If we get through that, next one would be 131,351 areas where I'd look for kind of where these targets to go. Could we get a pullback to the range EQ here? At this point here, with this being, looks like a spring here and bouncing up and coming up. I mean, that's what, if we were to get a rejection and a pullback, this would be the area I would expect. Let me see here. If we're actually pulling this from where we're at, let me see. Yeah, see, so when I'm looking at this, my initial thought on this rally for a week here, I initially we were looking like maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, and this overextension on a 5. And if we don't break out to a new all-time high, that's what I'm going to look at. And then, I'd look back for a pull back down toward, this kind of 115,905 area, initial target. But something I was telling our students there at the academy is with this overextension, these large candle spreads, the volume, this all looks like a wave 3 that's overextending. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, there's a good chance this is 1, 2, and then 1, 2, We get a 3, a 4, and a 5 gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this would still be that wave 3 here. So again, 1, 2. If we can get a rejection here, 3, 4 would pull us back here around 117,631. So right at that EQ area. And then 5 would have that little bit of a bump out there. Yeah, just about 127 or so. So just beyond kind of where we're looking there. But that would still be then 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would probably get us that 5 closer to the 131. So yeah, if we were to get rejected around this area without break, especially if we don't break out to new all-time high, or I mean, we could a little bit and then pull right back. But I would look for that pullback down here toward this 117 and change as the target area before we break out higher. So yeah, Andrew, I would definitely say that we could see that if we get that rejection around this area, kind of where we're at. Let me see here. Sats says JP Morgan and Citibank both just came out with bullish targets for Bitcoin. I like that. It's about time, but as usual, late to the party, right? We've had bullish targets for a while, and not just because we're just, oh, everything go up all the time, right? I mean, it was not hopium. It was, listen, this is the structure. So I'd like to see them coming in, but, you know, at the end of the day, they are, as usual, late to the party. Where are we at here now? Oh, 691. Man, oh, man, guys, we're $400 from that target area there. How crazy is that? Let me see here. Yep. We're almost there. 705. It's gone. See, I can't even focus on looking at any of the other charts here, guys. Here, real quick. Bitcoin dominance. This looks like this may be a low down here. We've been tracking this weekly at the Academy, right above the yearly pivot. We had this large bullish divergence on the daily here at that swing low. Looks like we have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So potentially a 1, 2, 3, and 4 is done, or maybe we have a triangle printing here. But looking for a fifth wave up here toward the R1 pivot, up here around 59.80 or so, 59.75, 59.80. And then looking for a pullback down here toward 58.5. And that would give us a 1 and a 2. And then we'd be looking up here toward the yearly R1 pivot at 62.82 as the next move up there. So if you're concerned about your alts because Bitcoin dominance, well, that's what we're kind of looking at here. Ooh, man, I was able to mute that. Sorry about that, guys. Mr. Awesome says, remember the days when everybody was bashing Bitcoin? Seems like just yesterday. It's crazy how that works, right? By the way, for Bitcoin dominance to go up here, I've said this so many times before, but I want to say it again so people understand. This does not mean that Bitcoin has to go up and alts have to go down. Okay? Alts don't have to go down. Alts just have to go up. Or Bitcoin just has to go up at a faster rate relative to those alts. As long as Bitcoin's going up faster, you see how it can pull away? That'll make that dominance head up there. So now it can go up if Bitcoin goes up and alts go down too. But what I'm trying to say is alts don't have to fall in order for Bitcoin dominance to go up. They just have to come up at a slower rate than Bitcoin. Does that make sense? I don't want you guys getting stuck up in the other nonsense that people are trying to say out there. Man, we're up $800. Oh, man, look at that. 865.45 so far. Are y'all ready? Can you smell it? Let's kind of zoom in here a little bit. Look at the 4 hour here. It pulled back. Stochastic RSI on the 4 hour just pulled back to neutral, crossed back above bullishly on the bullish side of neutral. RSI just has been overbought, crossed back on the bullish side, or crossed over bullishly there in overbought. Overbought just meant you're really bullish. So loving what we're seeing here. We're getting there. That 1 hour is getting up there. But if I'm looking at this on the 1 hour, this is 1, 2, this is a 3. Again, large candlesticks, large candle spreads there, the bodies, spike of volume, spikes of volume here on that move up. This 1, 2, 3. That's more than 1618. Yeah, look at that's overextended almost up to the 3618 overextension target. But nonetheless, that's 1, 2. At some point, we should get a bit of pullback, and then we should pull out at least one more time to give us 5 waves up off this here. At least. Let's jump into the 15-minute. Look at that 15-minute. All that volume right there at resistance, at that range resistance. More volume following in again up here as well. Even right here. So I talked about this being a 1, 2. Right here, we got 1, 2, 3. If we were to pull back here, that would give us a 4. And then we get a 5, which would then give us our 1, 2, 3. We get a 4, and then we get a 5. Minimally, that's just locally off this swing low from back here at about 4:15 a.m. this morning, Central Standard Time. How does that make you guys feel? How does that make you feel? So, I mean, even here, look, like this shouldn't be the top here. This is 1, 2. Minimally, this would be a 3. You get a 4, and you get a 5 up. But even that shouldn't be the top because that's a 1, 2. You should have a 3, a 4, and a 5 still kind of pushing it. And that's just looking again from here. We haven't looked back all the way through here. So really good movement here. I like it a lot. I like what I'm seeing at the moment. Look, we're not even really pulling back here. We're still trying to push higher here on that 15-minute. All right. What else do we have? We have Ethereum. Look at this beautiful weekly chart here for Ethereum. We pull back previous resistances, support. Wick down below it. We've got 3 waves here. Bullish engulfing candle forming right now. So, I mean, basically, if we're breaking out above this swing high right there, which is this one right here, 47.6860, that's going to lock that in as corrective as 3 waves down. And based on the height of that pullback, that gives us a pattern target, which is a local, price action pattern target. Right up here around 57.27. So again, that's $1,200 or so from where we're at, which would be about 4.5%, something like that. Price appreciation off that. So if you're in Ethereum, you're still doing well with that, and you should continue to look higher. I think it goes higher than 57. I don't think 57 is the top. It's just the price action target here locally. Let me see here. You said the IWM is breaking out. Small caps are breaking out. So Ethereum will follow. Well, Ethereum's already ahead. I mean, it's already there. I mean, it's all but guaranteed, right? We just look and say, okay, well, really need that breakout above that second wave to confirm that 3 waves as correction. Head up, and it should be, taking it out there. Sailors out here tweeting, I hope you kept the Bitcoin. Let me see here. Solana. I was looking for potentially further pullback to the S1, but we got this nice breakout through the pivot here. So I think that'll do it. Based on the height of this pullback, that will give us a pattern target up here at 299. Back there at 299 would be the pattern target, which kind of gets you right around the previous. I think that's the all-time high, isn't it? Yeah, right there on that all-time high up there. But this is a lot of consolidation here from back here around March of 24. So basically about a year and a half, a little bit more right here. That should give us a nice move out. So, yeah, what are we thinking? $1,000 or bust, right? $1,000 or bust? You heard wrong, Bernardo. You heard wrong, man. But anyway, yeah, I mean, and this looks good here. You've got the move up, the pullback, the breakout, the pullback to this support. Got it right here, and then you broke out, you pull back again to this kind of support here. Man, continual movement up here looks great. Man, I haven't found anybody yet that's held Solana from when I said to, buy it down here was, $9 and some change. I've seen some people bought it there and they've sold out, in this area. And I think I know somebody that held it up over into this $200 area here as well. But I don't know of anybody that's actually continued to hold it here. But man, let's say we hit $900 from that $9. I mean, that's 100x, guys. You just had to be patient. But everybody wants like 100x overnight, right? If we look at how do you separate yourself from the average trader out there, because that's what you want to do, right? Again, if you do what everybody else does, you're likely to get the same results, right? And then if we think of when it comes to trading that most traders are going to lose everything within the span of basically 90 days, right? Everything they put into the market. Well, obviously, if you're doing the same things they're doing, you should expect that same result, right? So what do you need to do? You need to figure out what's different. You need to figure out what's different. You need to figure out, okay, so I don't need to do what everybody else is doing. All that common stuff that you see regurgitated online, especially by, all the big accounts, don't follow that nonsense, guys. A lot of that stuff is the same stuff that came out when I started 31 years ago. And it wasn't good, it wasn't good advice then. It's not good advice today. But for whatever, it just sticks around because it's free, right? Especially in the day of social media where information is so easy to find, right? But it's the free stuff and they just regurgitate the free stuff, right? And the problem is most of that isn't necessarily true to begin with. And even that stuff that is, you're only getting like a half truth there. You're not getting the full understanding, and you certainly, if you don't know proper risk management, a lot of that stuff's just going to lose you money. Okay. So when you're looking at that and you're a trader and you're like, well, what can I do to be successful? See, if I've got 100 people listening to me, I've got more than 100 right now, but let's say I just got 100 people listening to me. Maybe 3 will actually listen. Okay. 100 people, if 100 people were watching right now, maybe 3 would truly listen, would like really listen. Everybody else is not really like actively listening, not really paying the attention they need to pay to what I'm saying, right? And I say that because people are like, oh, well, if you teach people how to trade and you teach them your secrets, I'm like, it's not really secrets, folks. It's not really secrets. I'm not here to try and sell you on some secret thing that nobody else knows. That's what everybody else is trying to do. And that's why you're losing your money. I'm trying to tell you, listen, if you need to trade, this is how you should be approaching markets. This is how you have to understand how liquidity forms and how it flows through the market. And if you can learn this stuff, and not just showing you where it happens, but why, explaining why. So that way you get off the narrative focus. You get off the news events. You get off all that nonsense. And you start figuring things out before that stuff happens. And then you start seeing that stuff aligning in areas that you were already looking at. Okay? There's so much work for you to do out there to learn about markets to be, extremely successful with it. You can learn a parlor trick and it may work. That's what most people are trying to sell you out there, parlor tricks. All right. And that may work. Okay. That may work, but it's only going to work in certain circumstances, in certain instances, and for short periods of time. Maybe you've recognized that. Maybe you've gone and somebody said, listen, if you just learn to trade this way, my secret thing, you're going to be knocking it out of the park in trading, right? And so you got excited. You're like, man, really? I can learn to do this in a day and it's going to be super easy and I can be successful. And then what happens? You pay your money, you go and do it, and it isn't like they said, right? You struggle to make any money at all with it. You end up losing more money with it than not, right? Got to remember, most of the people out here, whatever it is you want to do or whatever, they're going to sell you what you think you want to hear because that's what's going to make you buy. The reason why TWC doesn't have 10,000 members is because we don't do that, which means we focus on the serious people out there. Who's really serious about wanting to learn how to trade? Who's really going to listen? That's what we're focused on. And then you have a lot of success. But you have to put in the time. We've got different people from from TWC in here right now speaking and listening, whatever. And they'll tell you the same thing. They'll tell you you're not going to learn it overnight. But they'll also tell you that if you're willing to put in all that stuff that you need to put in, that effort, everything that you would put in if you wanted to truly learn any skill, they'll tell you that if you do it, it's really hard not to win, right? It really is. And some of these folks came in brand new traders, barely traded a day in their life. Others came in, they had been utilizing other systems and styles of trading, algorithm stuff like that. They just wanted to get a better understanding for what is actually going on with the price movement. Why is the price moving? Not because, oh, it hit this level. Well, yeah, so what? But why is that level there? Why is it important? What's going on in the psychology of the people that are in that position there? That's what we're teaching you. Because that way you can apply that to anything. If you have some special indicator or algorithm you love, that's fine. But now you're going to have a lot more information to understand, should I necessarily be taking that trade or not? Does the target look good or should the target be different? That's what it's about. I like BMR. I like BMNR, Cody. I like BMNR. Yeah. That should do really well. Florian, what'd you say there, Florian? Years of failure, finally green after joining a few months back. I love Florian. Such a great guy to come in. But Florian does the things he needs to do, right? He shows up for the training sessions, shows up at the live trading, every time it's possible for him to do so, right? And I understand sometimes, people, because we have members from all over the world, right? You can't always be available. I try to make the times as good as possible, but sometimes you just can't be available at those times. But everything's recorded. And I'm always there to answer questions afterward. If you have to watch a recording, if you can't watch it live and you've got a question, that's what it's about, right? So, yeah. These are the things that kind of get you going, right? These are the things we help you try to understand what you need to understand so that you have a chance at being successful as a trader. Most people are there. Most people, guys, in these things, they're here just to sell you whatever system they're doing, and it's all about them. It's not about you. And you have to be careful out there with that. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying a lot of what we see out there. And I can look back on this with 31 years of experience now, having bought my own, courses and things along the way and had my own mentors along the way, right? I can look back now and go, okay, yeah, things I see now that I didn't see when I was a new trader. Exactly these things I'm telling you, right? Where the idea of selling what they're selling is the most important thing. They don't worry about churn, about the number of people that come in and go and never come back, because they're just telling people what they want to hear. And they know there'll always be new people coming in that want to hear that. But, absolutely what you learn with TWC will help you with any other indicator, any other style of trading that you have out there. It'll help you understand it on a level that that person probably will never understand it. The people who created the indicator or some little system they have for trading, right? Let me see here. Did somebody say open in there? Was somebody looking for open? Let me look back here real quick. Adventure Bros Garage. I love the name. It says Open Army. All right, well, let's pull up open here. Let's see where open's at. Come on. Open. And the great thing about what we do is everything we teach works on every time frame from the 1 minute to the 1 month. You know, it all works there. I like open. Yeah, I still like open. We've had this this trade here from this low, setting up this potential move here. Looks like a spring. We got the push out, the pullback. Now we're getting the breakout here. Looks like a 1 and 2. So based on this being a 1 and a 2 here, give us a minimum expected wave 3 target up here at around 65.30. Let me see here. Yeah, and so locally here, let's kind of get all this out of the way here. If that's going to be a 1 and a 2 right here, that might be a 1 or 2 right there. But nonetheless, we should be heading up here around 65.30. Let me see here. 1, 2, is that 3, 4, 5? Yeah, so what you're looking for is you're looking for this pivot to hold right here. This monthly pivot on the daily time frame is 765. As long as that's holding, you should be looking up higher. Right now, we've got this pullback here. Looks like it's probably a flat. Looks like it's A, B, C here. Based on the height of that, that would give us a pattern target up here at 1398. So yeah, if we can break out higher here above this 921, the odds are high we're going to head up here to 1398 as the next local target. But ultimately looking for wave 3 up here around 65.30 on open there. So I like the setup right now. Miners are moving. Of course they're moving. Mara's interesting. Let me see. I think I just saw some news from Mara. Yeah. They produced 736 Bitcoin in September. They currently hold 52,580 Bitcoin in their treasury. Remember, they are the second largest corporate holder behind Sailor Strategy over there. So their 736 Bitcoin in September is a 4% increase from August. They won 218 blocks. They said they were a net seller of Bitcoin during September. So in other words, they were saying they sold more than they bought, but their overall, or they sold more than they made, or that they brought in, I guess. But their overall Bitcoin holdings still rose from 52,850 or to 52,850 from 56,39. So Mara really kind of doing its job there and doing it, right? No hate, but this is BS. Well, I mean, you know, hey, you can feel free to move on, whatever you need to do. Only been doing this 31 years, so, you know, maybe I'll take your criticism as something worth anything if, I don't know, if you've got 31 years. Otherwise, you know, move on. It's really not that hard. And why would you say no hate, but this is BS? That makes no sense. Anyway, yeah, I like Mara right here. Let me see. This might actually be a larger degree 1, 2 here rather than what I've got at the moment here. But nonetheless, this is a nice rounding bottom here. pull up. We've got a nice large candle, ultimately breaking out where that pivot is. I like it a lot. You could do a simple price action target based on the height of this pullback here. And let's see here. Yeah, right about there. And that would give you a price action target of 27.37. So I'm good. What is that? 40% up almost from where we're currently at. And let me see here. If we get up, I think rejected there. Yeah, I think locally there's a good chance we might get rejected right here around that swing high at the yearly pivot, around 21.34. And if we do, I would look for a pullback down here toward this 17.5 or so. So if we can get rejected, I'd look for a pullback right about there. And then you can really kind of start looking up much higher on that. But easy pattern target based on the height of that pullback there, 27.37. Oh, look at that rejection coming. All right, so we got a 1, 2, looks like 3, 4 here on Bitcoin on the 15-minute. 38.2 is your initial target at 122.704. 50% is a secondary target at 122.327. So we'll see if we can get a rally off one of those. And then that'll look up there at 124.680, get us above the all-time high. Or even from a little bit lower there. It's up a bit higher at 124.917. But again, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get that 5, which would just be a 1, 2, 3. We'll get a 4 again on the pullback, and then we'll get a 5 on that break there. At least locally there from those last two moves. Let me see here. Troy, I'll give you an update on Naka there today at the Academy. Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, Colton. No, Naka's it's still looking. It's still just kind of something that it hasn't taken any big move out yet. I still like the area. I still like the area as a buy. So, yeah. Let me see here. I was just reading the rest of that comment about miners. Miners are moving. Can you check Mara? Feel like it may be like Ethereum, where its market cap is so big that it took more time for it to start moving. It just is what it is, right? I don't know. I think people try to find narratives that makes them feel better, right? Oh, well, I need this narrative for why this did happen or why that didn't happen. And I think we just look at charts, right? Your biggest narrative is the longer it's going sideways, usually the quicker and stronger the move out of that sideways, right? And the further the move, right? The bigger the move. Those are the only narratives I'm really concerned about personally, because everything else every other narrative that we have is a fit. We're trying to fit the narrative into what happened. Whereas price action's narrative is based on what's going on with price action, right? Does that make sense? So I don't really focus a whole lot on that. I talk about, interest rates and government numbers and all this other stuff just because y'all want to hear about it. And I understand it, but that doesn't play into what I see is going on with the charts. My charts are done before those things happen. And so, again, it's just this proof that, that price action is king. What's going on with price and volume and that kind of thing really kind of tells you what's going on. Everything else is lagging, right? All the government numbers you get, all the, the guidance and everything else from the companies is all just based on what's happened rather than really what's happening. And it's based on a lot further back, right? If you're talking about quarterly earnings, I mean, my God, they come out quarterly? Price action, you can figure things out depending what time frame you're looking at, right? From a few minutes to a few hours to a few days to a few weeks, whatever you want to do. And we're not talking about price action merely as, the SMC stuff goes, right? There's a couple of things that are helpful in there. A lot of it is a regurgitation of other things that happen with Elliott Wave and with Wyckoff, just framed differently, labeled differently, but the same concepts. So yeah. Yeah, didn't Trump mention, I was just about to get there, Troy. Yeah, didn't Trump mention potentially abolishing earnings season? Yeah, he wants to get rid of the quarterly earnings. Imagine, so if you've been around for any period of time trading stocks, for the longest time, earnings, for the longest time, you trade Monday through Friday, a few hours a day, basically, no weekends, right? And here we are to this shift in the way things are done, where the markets, all of them, are going to basically be going to 24/7. So now you got the stock market working on a 24/7. That means no pre-market. That means no post-market. Which means what? Well, earnings used to be released pre or post-market, right? Pre-market or after hours. And that was supposed to limit the effect that they would have on the price, right? The sudden news event. Well, now you're trading 24 hours. All of a sudden, that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? So you go ahead and get rid of them. Now you're trading 24/7. You don't have quarterly earnings required, right? It's a whole different way of trading coming in, guys, and investing in here. What leads to fast breakouts after long bases? Or is that narrative not important because the market makes the decision or when the long base is long enough? Well, it's just about accumulation and distribution, right? When you're going sideways, you're doing one of four things. You're accumulating, you're reaccumulating, you're distributing, or you're redistributing, okay? So the length of time that takes depends on the market itself. If you're in accumulation, it depends on how long it takes for the large players basically to convince the smaller players to get rid of enough of their supply so that way price can go up very unimpeded, right? Because here's the thing, if you're going sideways, you've got all the accumulation and you want to break out, you want that price to go up. Well, if you're regular, you guys call them paper hands, but paper hands are not just people who don't know what they're doing. They're also short-term traders. Like myself and a lot of our students are a lot of times, right? Scalping and day trading. We're shorter-term holders. We would be considered paper hands in that, right? So as long as we have supply, we can push that supply on the market. And if enough people have enough of that supply, it holds price back, right? It keeps it from really moving. So the idea in accumulation or reaccumulation is to pull enough supply off everybody else's hands and put it in your pocket to hold so that they can't sit there and just dump on you as it's going up and keep price from going up. And so when that happens, that's when you see, when enough of that has happened, that's when you see price will take off. And price will take off really hard because there just isn't all that supply there to keep it down. Okay. Also, you'll notice that in supply, and this is all the stuff we teach, right? How to notice is what to look for. But, it'll also, as you're getting toward the end of the range, you notice there's a lot less participation by retail at the lows. They're not really interested in sending it lower. So it goes up. And so it's the opposite with distribution. How long does it take for you to sell into retail enough supply that they stop trying to push it up higher? And then you get the move down. So the more supply or the more euphoric the crowd is, right? The market is, the longer often that sideways is going to take. But yeah, when it breaks out, whether it breaks out or it breaks down is wholly dependent on the supply, for it to go up, the supply that's held by the market, your average players out there, and for it to come down, how much euphoria is the market, is retail feeling still. That's really what kind of determines how long that goes sideways. And but the longer it goes sideways, think about it. The longer it goes sideways, if you're doing accumulation, the more supply you're pulling out of the market, which is why it's going to go out further and harder and faster than if it's a shorter one, usually, right? And again, same thing with distribution. The longer you can sell into the market, the the less desire you're going to get to the point where there's so few that have any real desire to buy at that point, and then price can just go, and then they'll jump on and also sell as it goes down, as it breaks down. So that's why really kind of basically what happens there. Let me see here. Hi, Chris. On the daily chart, are the pivot points we're seeing the monthly ones? If so, is that a fixed setting you've applied to always display monthly pivots, even when viewing other time frames? So I'll tell you what, guys, pivots are a fantastic thing. We do sell a pivots course, a pivots master course over at TWC. But basically speaking, your pivots here, these are on the 15-minute time frame. And notice we've dropped down around the 50% here. So we'll see if we can get a rally up here now. We've had a lot of strong movement up. It may need to actually pull back a bit further, but we've hit our second general area target for fourth wave. But these are the 15-minute. So they're on the 15-minute time frame. That means they change every day. So these are our daily pivots. On your hourly, your 2 hour, your 4 hours, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 hour, whatever, right? Up to 23 hours, right? These pivots are based on those time frames. And so they change every week. So they're considered our weekly pivots. The daily pivots on your 1 day, your 3 day, your 5 day, whatever you're looking at, change every month. So they're called our monthly pivots. And your week or your monthly time frames, those pivots that are on there change every year. So you're looking at the 1 week, the 2 week, the 3 week, the monthly, the 3 month, the 5 month, whatever. They change every year, every January 1st. So they're called our yearly pivots. They're automatically set. You can just go up to the indicators. Excuse me, hiccups here. And just type in pivot points and click on the pivot point standard. That's all I use on here. There's multiple different types of pivot points, though. Like you can look in here and you can change it to Fibonacci pivots, to Woody pivots, classic, DM, Camarilla. I explained the difference from all, though, and what the best way to use them are, in that course that I have. But I've learned to use the traditional pivots really well. And so I just keep them on there all the time. No matter what, I've learned how to use them. Let me see here. Look at that, man. Look at that weekly candle right there. You notice we're all hitting that R1 pivot, that yearly R1 pivot. That's where we're at here. Ultimately, that's what's holding back price here since back in July. Well, I guess really since back here in, July. Coming up through here. Let me put that back to the 15-minute there. We'll see if we can start getting some rallying at some point here. Because we had such a big move up, again, we can see it getting low. The 38.2 and the 50% pullbacks are guidelines. They're not rules. So price can go further than that. It's just generally where we look for our pullbacks. But the further it pulls back here, the further that pattern target becomes. Like right now, if we were to reverse right here, 125, 213.5 would be the pattern target on that. Okay. Let me see here. You see, we got this here. I'll tell you what. Let's pull up here. What alts do you guys want to see? I'll take a couple alts here, and then I'm going to head out. Let me know what alts you guys want to see here real quick. I'll pull them up. And we'll take a look. Florian, have a great weekend, buddy. We'll see you back at TWC on Monday, I guess. I knew Bernardo was going to say Sui. Let's pull up Sui here. Let's see what we're looking at. Haven't really looked at many in the way of alts today. Let's see here. So let's see where we're at in terms of where we were. I mean, that's not too bad there considering the up days we've had. Sui's gone up with Bitcoin. Let me see. So swing high 33, 320, 33.20. There we go. We're getting a good reset on the 4-hour here, but let's jump it up to the daily. Yeah, so if I'm looking here, my initial thought, just structure-wise, is that we may see this kind of move. Stop moving, stupid chart. And then take off. The idea would be a 1-2 and then a 1-2, 3, 4, 5 gives us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives us a 1 and 2 on a pullback. So this should be about a 50% pullback up around this previous swing high area here, right above the R1 pivot. Yeah, see? 50% there. So I think there's a good chance we pull back toward the pivot here. Let me see if I can set these prices up on them. Yeah. So, around here, potentially as far back here toward that $3.43 area. And then ultimately look for a rally up here around 380, 385. Let me take that off there. There we go. Try this again. There we go. Kind of like this little range right here. Again, from like 380 to 390. And I would look for a rejection there. If we can get a rejection there, the odds are we're going to do 3 waves back here toward this 347, 343, 344. And then we'll, ready to kind of rally off there. So, maybe next move up, 49175 and then up here 53516, which gets us right up around the all-time high there. So yeah, I think you're going to see this on a lot of alts right now, guys. And so I think we'll have generally the same kind of move for those alts if you understand what you're looking at right here, what I just explained. Can get that move there and then move back up. AVAX. Let's see here. AVAX. What do we got going on with AVAX? Oh, that's been absolutely fantastic. Use this for a training. I guess probably whatever day it said was the last day I updated this. So well, whatever it said, it was up there. See if we can pull it up here one more time. AVAX. I don't want you to think I'm fibbing to y'all. Right there, September 10th. Yes, what's the day? So right around that time, I use this, which is why you see all these different lines and this kind of structure here. But again, we got the breakout we were looking for. We rallied up into a resistance right there, dip back down to this previous resistance to support, and here we are back in, trying to rally back out of there. I would say you could probably at least look for a pattern target here. At least up here around 43.23. So that would be like, 36% from where we are right now? And generally speaking, as long as this area right here around this 29.61 to 28.81, as long as this area is kind of holding a support, we should expect this to continue higher. Based on the height of this structure here, where you had this consolidation up into this resistance, it's like a barrier triangle. That would give us 200% up here at 48.82. So, again, I would look at 43.20 or so, and then 48.80 up here. It would be the targets I'd kind of look at just based off this pullback and this overall structure height here. Let me see here. What are we looking at here? What are we looking at? XRP. I like XRP and I like XLM. Generally XLM kind of moving with XRP. Let me see here. Let's do it this way. I thought I had one for the newsletter that I was keeping there. Grab the Binance chart here. I mean, overall, look at this structure. This is great. And you can see right here, got the pullback to support there, resistance to support. Based on the height of this pullback overall, pattern target of 441. Let me see here. I think that's the low there, right? 269.75. Yeah, 75. Yeah. So what we're going to want to see, is a breakout here above 3.3825. If we can do that, that's going to add confidence to this idea that this is complete and we're heading up. And so pattern target we've got is $4.41 there based on the height of that. So liking that overall. But again, it's just a large range, right? I mean, it's all we're looking at is one large range there. Again, you can probably throw maybe a descending resistance on here if it makes you feel any better. Kind of breaking out above that, pulling back to it. But ultimately, yeah, again, as long as this pivot here at 291 is holding a support, we should be looking higher. But yeah, 441 looks like a good price action target from where we're at here. Gives us, 3 waves down, 3 waves down, then rallying up here. Let me see here. So yeah, I mean, again, I think I guess the one thing I would say is stop listening to all the emotional stuff that's online. If stuff's purely emotional, you're just going to lose money. And there's no reason to do that, right? If you can learn these, learn and understand how and why, price flows the way it does. If you can understand liquidity and how it shows up and why, it puts you just so much further ahead of what everybody else is doing out there. Everybody else has an indicator or again, for most people, it just ends up being a parlor trick type of strategy that they try and depend on. And then they wonder why they're losing money constantly. Well, those things, even though they don't tend to work on their own for most people, you can actually make a lot more effective by understanding those things that we're talking about there, right? So that's what we're looking at. Fibbo is going to try and be with us next week. He's just had a whole slush of weekend or Friday meetings right around this time, which is why he's had a lot of trouble being on every other week. But he is going to try to be on with us again next week. So if you guys can show up for that. I think that's probably it for today here. Really, it's just about listen. If you're upset because I say if you really want to be a successful trader, you have to, do the focus and the consistency and the discipline and all that stuff, right? If that makes you upset to hear that, you're probably not ready to be a trader right now. And you're probably not ready to learn whatever skill set you want to learn. It's nothing just for trading. This is what I try to tell you guys, right? These things I talk about and I discuss so much are in all areas of your life. It's not just trading. Trading isn't some special thing that's devoid of anything else in your life or that's, different from it. It's all part of that same thing. So the great thing is if you learn to become consistent and focused and disciplined and these things with trading, it will naturally expand into every other area of your life. And your life can't help but be better because of it. A lot of what we're missing in life is just that stuff. We just kind of exist. We float around. We doom scroll all day. We don't really put any effort, any real effort. We say we do. The human beings are really good at lying to ourselves and lying to others about what kind of effort we're really putting in. And see, and I say that, and a lot of people, I usually get hate mail about that. I get a lot of, oh, I don't know. I'm like, listen, if you feel the need to say that, I think maybe you should look at it and go, Chris is probably right. Otherwise, why would I be so offended by it? Why would I feel the need to have to lash out, right? I'm not here to offend y'all. I'm just here to get you to see the reality of life, reality of trading. Because for 31 years, most people have told me they want to be traders. Almost all those people are not traders today. I'm a trader. And you can be too. You can be successful, but it really takes a lot of change in the way that you view things. And that for a lot of people is going to be difficult because their life is on easy mode. They may not like their life. They may not necessarily like what they're doing, but it's comfortable to the point that it's better for them than putting in that other stuff that they have to do to be successful, whatever they want to be successful at. Okay? So my goal is just to help you realize that, because once you realize and recognize that, that opens your mind to everything else we talk about. And that opens you to really paying attention to how to trade properly rather than getting caught up in a lot of the emotions that are going on there. Okay? So I hope that helps. Again, if you're offended by anything I've said today, I would really, and you'll get offended by what I'm probably about to say too. You'll probably get offended by what I'm about to say, but take a long, hard look at why you're getting offended. Usually we get offended with, if I'm not saying your name and saying this is you, and I'm just talking in general, and you feel offended, or you feel hurt by that, the reality is that often that's a result of you internally, agreeing with what I'm saying and understanding that that's you, but not wanting to admit it. But you can't, again, you're here. If you're here, I expect that you truly want to learn how to trade, that you really want to understand markets better. And so I take that seriously. So I tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear. Rarely is it the same thing. Most of the time, what you need to hear is that thing that's going to upset you. Okay? But I believe in your ability to be able to do this and to be able to do this well. I believe in your ability to do this better than I've ever done it. And that doesn't hurt my success at all if you come out and you do really well. That's a great thing. Because again, it's not you versus me. Everybody likes to say that trading is a zero-sum game. It doesn't have to be. If I buy here with a target right here, and price reaches that target and I sell, I didn't lose anything, right? The person who sold to me, if they bought it down here and they sold it, or the person that's buying it from me, right? If they're buying here and their target is here or up here, and price hits that target and they get out, they made money. Where's the zero-sum game? I bought, got out where I expected to, made profit. That person bought, got out where they expected to, made profit. Where is the zero sum? Zero sum means somebody has to lose and somebody has to win. We both won. Now, that isn't the way it always happens. And a lot of times it doesn't happen that way because most traders that are coming in aren't really doing the work they need to do to learn how to trade properly, to learn, to understand markets, which is why, again, most of them end out with all their money gone, pretty quickly. But for the few of you out there who are really serious about it, you are honestly serious about it, and you're willing to honestly put in that time, effort, discipline, focus, consistency, and correct practice that you have to do, the markets are literally your oyster. There is nothing holding you back from being successful in trading but yourself and your your resistance to do the things that you have to do. It's not Wall Street. It's not crypto. It's not the government. It's none of that. If you can get into the market, the only enemy you have is yourself. And that's just a result most often of being, what's the word I want to look for here? Being stubborn, refusing to listen to anything else other than what you think is the way things need to be. Okay? So hopefully that gives you a little bit of excitement. Hopefully it lets you know, yeah, there is real possibility for you in the markets. But you got to do those things you got to do. Okay? So as always, remember, the only thing you control is how much you lose. So please keep working on that risk management. Risk management, exits, then entries. Those are your most important things in order right there, okay? So, and by the way, really, risk management and exits are pretty much part of this one and the same, because when you're using proper risk management, your stop loss is set at a certain area. Your risk, relating to your exit is set at a certain area. So really one and two are kind of together. Martin, you're very welcome. But, as always, I hope I've opened your eyes to the realities of trading, maybe helped you understand what you need to work in yourself so that you can be successful, rather than just kind of giving your money to the market all the time. And if you want to join us, do so. Members.texaswestcapital.com. We'd absolutely love to have you there. And, you can be like Andrew and Jonathan and Bernardo and others who, have come in there, Alvin, and have really kind of changed their success with trading. Florian mentioned earlier, in just a few months, he's got his account from red to green based on what he's learning with us. So, but again, you got to do the work. But if you're willing to do it, I'll bend over backwards to help you. Every day I'll do it. All right. Thanks a lot for joining in as always. Don't forget Beards and Bitcoin next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, same place. And then, of course, next Friday, and we'll see if next Friday, if we have the NFP out next Friday, and see what that short-term volatility does to the markets, okay? I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Trade safe out there. And don't make trading the only thing you do, right? Take care, everybody.
Trading tip: always manage risk before chasing gains.